Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. End of January, end of this month's pens in use. This month, it's a bit of the best type video because I was looking at the winners from each month during 2022. Why not join me now down on the mat? What I'm going to do is fetch out all the pens I've been using. I'm going to rank my starting pens from position 6 to position number 1. Then we'll also take a quick look at the additional pens that I've used this month. Welcome down to the mat. So here we've got the list of pens that we started the month with. We had the HongDian 960, a Jinhao 100, Majohn A1, the Nahvalur 365 in the Nautilus shape, the Leonardo Momento Grande, and that Pilot Custom 823. How do you think these pens ranked? I said that. Let's have a look and let's see where I placed each pen. At the start, I've got to be honest with you, it's a very close month. Any one of them could have come in at position number 1. A lot of the things that I'm picking on, they're very minor things, but obviously I have to rank them. So position number 6, what I've decided is that will go to the Majohn A1. This is a clicky pen. One of the issues which I brought up in my halftime report, it looks like the door here at the top of that stopped working. Didn't seem to affect the pen, it didn't dry out at all, but you know, it's a little thing, but it's still a problem. I love the shape, I love the way it fits in my hand. I like the fact that it's clipless, that's what drew me to this pen, but it's got this little roll stop which is really nice. It's a cartridge converter. I'm not going to undo it because then it'll all pop out. Really nice looking pen. Very simple, isn't it? And I think that's one of the things going for it. You know, so it's clicky pen, had no problems with the mechanism other than that door. So why are you asking, are you saying all these nice things and still putting it in at position number 6? Well, I've got to call it on the nib. This was only available with an extra fine nib. My preference is broad nibs, so we're talking about a big difference. It's still nice. It's not scratchy. Yes, you've got that thin line, but it doesn't feel scratchy like some of my other extra fine nibs. But the whole exercise is to rank these. So bearing everything in mind, I've decided this comes in at position number 6. So that's a Majohn A1. Position number 5. This went to the HongDian 960. This is a black colour. Very classic pen. Very understated pen. I love the gold trim. Looks really nice. It's another one. It's a cartridge converter. There we go. All this month's pens, I've managed to finish them all. I finished the last one yesterday, so they've all been cleaned out. I think that's the first time I've managed to do that in one of my pens in use months. I like the two-tone nib. Nice fit in the hand. Feels a little bit on the short side, but not unmanageably. Wool post, to me, feels back heavy when I post it. The nib, it's a fine nib. It's very stiff. It feels stiff when I'm using it. When I'm writing, I did notice that there's some little bits of skipping, not a lot, just a little bit, but it is something that I've noticed. The section's nice, it feels nice in the hand, but I still had to rank it. And because of that little bit of skipping, that's why I've decided this will come in at position number 5. The green ink in here, absolutely love it, but I like green inks. So this is the HongDian 960. Position number 4. Before I do that, let me just move this up. Let's get rid of number 5 because we've already used that. There we've got all the rest of the pens there are now visible. Position number 4. Well, you're going to look at me and say, Gary, how did you do that? Position number 4, I'm giving to the Memento Grande. One of my favourite pens. Love the colouring. Just look at this as I turn it around, this spaghetti colour. So pretty to look at. It's got a medium nib. There we go, Leonardo nib, I believe made for them by Yoho. It's a piston pen. I'll work the mechanism. I'm not frightened to do that because there's no ink in it. You know, that comes out nicely. It was a little bit stiff to start, but that's because I'd over-tightened it, I think, when I'd finished cleaning it. Why is this position number 4? Well, the one big thing I miss on this pen doesn't have an ink window. I've got no idea how much ink is left in this pen. And this month was a really good example. I was halfway through a page of notes and it started to go a little bit inconsistent. So I would shake it and it would carry on. And I went through that for about 2 pages of notes and I was thinking to myself, well, it could be that the feed is blocked because in here I've got Diamine pick me up. So I thought, well, maybe the ink is blocking the feed. Carried on like that, and then after another page, just stopped completely. Ended up it was out of ink, but I had no idea because I've got no way of telling how much ink is in it. That was the biggest reason for giving this position number 4. It writes lovely. When there's ink in there, no problems with skipping, no problems with hard starts. I love the section shape. To me, I like this section shape, and I know they're moving away from this, and I think that's such a shame because this, for my fingers, is so comfortable. It's nice and wide. There's no lip at the bottom that's digging in. The way it's shaped, my fingers just follow that contour really well. Really love this pen. Really love everything about it, apart from the lack of an ink window. And for that reason, this comes in at position number 4. So that's the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande. Position number 3. Again, you may be shouting, Gary, why's that there? Position number 3 goes to the Narwhal 365 in this Nautilus shape. And this one, it has got an ink window. Look at that. You can see it. Beautiful pen. This is the prettiest pen that I've got. I think this is absolutely gorgeous. This is Jonathan Brooks Primary Manipulation 3.5 material. And just look at it. We've got purple, brown, green, blue. Such a pretty pen. Very complex colours to look at. Piston filler, as said. Look, we got that window. Take the piston filler all the way down and then fetch it back up. One thing I would have liked, it'd be nice if that piston would have gone down just a little bit further so it went right the way down to the bottom. But never mind, it still gets a lot of ink, and that's part of the issue with it. The section, nice. It's got that lip at the bottom, so I've found for multiple page notes, my fingers do tend to dig in a bit and start to wake a little bit. We've got a gold-coloured nib there. Now, in a conversation I've been having with one of the people who watches my videos on YouTube, they have mentioned that the unit, it just unscrews. So what I'm actually considering doing is taking this unit out with, this is a medium nib, and I've got, in one of my school kills, I've actually got a Yoho nib with a broad nib on it. And I'm thinking, well, if they just unscrew, I might swap them over and put that Yoho broad on here. I think that would make this virtually a perfect pen for me. So again, it's another pen. I've got nothing but nice things to say about it. So why is it at position number 3? This, it's a hard one to quantify. It's not really, I'm going to say a factual thing. I know it's not quite the right word. The reason it's at position number 3 is I got bored of it. I've been using this combo for 6 weeks straight. That's 6 weeks using the same pen, the same ink. Got bored of it. I actually put the ink in here about 3 months ago. It takes such a large amount, and with a medium nib, doesn't put down too much, so it just lasts and lasts and lasts. So yes, if you want a pen where you can put an ink in it and it's always ready to go, this is a really good candidate. But as I say, I found I was getting bored. You know, you might be able to tell on here, I like to use different colours. You know, I do like to experiment with different nib sizes, and it was just too much. I was actually thinking near the start of the month to empty it out, but I thought, no, let's keep going. Eventually did empty it, but it took quite a while. For that reason, and that reason alone, it comes in at position number 3. I think if I'd have changed the ink earlier in the month, that may have been position 1. You know, as said, all these pens very, very close and being extremely picky. So we've only got 2 pens left. We've got the $15 Jinhao 100 and we've got the $394 Pilot Custom 823. These dollar amounts, they're Australian dollars. So which one is going to come in at position number 2? I actually had to think hard about this. I really did. And up until just before recording, could have gone either way. But I've decided position number 2, I'm going to give that to this. This is the Jinhao 100. Now, those of you who are really observant, this isn't the pen I started the month with. Start of the month, I had the blue version of the Jinhao 100. That had Diamine Ruby Blues in it. You know, there's beautiful ink there. Hopefully you can see. I'll just move it down a bit there. Hopefully you can see that sheen coming through. Absolutely loved that combination. It was really nice. But it ran out after the first week. So I thought, right, let's swap. What I tend to do with my Jinhao 100s is I've been going in rotation. So the blue one was finished, so the next one came in. And that was this meteorite one. In there, I put Dominant Industry Lake. Still a medium nib, so yes, you could argue it's not the same pen, but it's the same type of pen, it's the same family. And the ink, not sure about the combo on this. I wanted to experiment with this lake, and what I found was there's some really nice shading, really pretty. Really enjoyed using it as a combo. I like the pen, I like the way it feels. You know, there we are. You know, it fits so nice in my hands. The section's nice. Another one, cartridge converter. You know, again, I think it was week 3 I filled this. It had run out by week 4. Very nice. Like the combination. As you can see, like the colour. Now, the price, this was what I paid for that blue one, and that was about 18 months ago. The price for this pen has gone up a bit. I think they're about 25, 30 Aussie dollars now, something like that. So with all these prices, these are what I paid, and most of these I've had over a year. But even so, it's still nice. So position number 2, that went to the Jinhao 100. You don't have to be Einstein to work out what pen came in at position number 1. Position 1, Pilot Custom 823. As you can see, the pen's empty. It's the first time since I've got this pen that I haven't immediately refilled it. I'm going to give this pen a rest for a while. I've had it constantly inked up now, be about 14 months. So I thought, yeah, let's give it a couple of months off. Vacuum filler. Do you know, it's empty, so I can actually show you the mechanism. So I've unscrewed the blind cap. I pull it out. Then to fill it, push the plunger down. When we get near the bottom, you can see inside here, it widens out. You can see that vacuum there actually worked pulling that back up. So we get down here, go into this wider part, which releases the vacuum, and that sucks the ink up. One of the downsides with this pen, you might be able to see it there. There's still a little bit of that dirty water in there. I'll give this another rinse through. Very hard to clean. You can't really take it apart. I know some vacuum fillers you can. The Pilot Custom 823, I wouldn't even think about it because I'd end up breaking it knowing my luck. It's the only pen in this month's selection that had a gold nib. This is 14 karat gold. It's a broad nib. Japanese broad though, just remember that. So when we look at here, we can see in terms of line width, I would say fairly similar with that medium from the Leonardo. I like this Terre de Fouet. Again, we get some nice shading. You can actually see the shading coming out on here. And when I was writing with it, it was really nice. And I see the shading even on cheap paper. Very nice pen. And I think it's a well-deserved position number 1. So that's the Pilot Custom 823. I'm just going to turn the page over and then we'll look at the other pens that I used during this month. So I used an additional 3 pens this month. Now, I'm not going to give these a ranking, but I'll do a quick discussion about them. First one, Pilot Custom Heritage 92. Medium nib on this, it's a gold nib, 14 karat gold nib. And in there was Van Dieman Apple Island Green. I love this combo. As you see at the moment, it's empty. It's another pen. To be honest, like all of them, I'm going to give it a rest. I've struggled for ages to find the right ink for this. And it was, to be honest, a bit by accident last year that I paired it with this Van Dieman ink. And I love it. The Van Dieman ink, this is the only pen I've got that I find that I like the ink in. Really hard to find one which works. It's a nice size. I prefer to use this one posted. The cap doesn't add much extra weight, but I find it just makes it feel more comfortable in my hand. I can use it unposted, but just feels a little bit on the short side. It's a fairly thin pen. My fingers, they feel like they're touching. Doesn't really bother me too much though, because it writes nicely. The nib, it is 14 karat gold. It's just been, I think it's rhodium plated. And this one is a piston filler. The nib is so soft. It's like got a gorgeous bounce to it. It's a smallish nib, so it's more like it's a number 5 size nib, whereas the nib in the Pilot Custom 823, that was a number 15 size nib. They're pilot sizes. I do like the colouring. I wish they did this pen in other colours. I know there's a couple, but it would be nice to have quite a wide selection of colours. I may actually end up buying some more if they did that. At the moment, I'm just happy with this one. Really enjoyed it, nice pen. The second pen that I used was the Diplomat Aero. This is in the factory colour, so it's like the raw aluminium. I think it's got a coating on it because I've had this, must be at least 18 months now, and I'm not seeing any tarnish. And it's another pen that's been virtually constantly inked up. Nice wide feel to it. I don't mind the length. You know, again, it's one you can post. Personally, I wouldn't because I'm worried about scratching the material. It's doable. I never bother with that. Cartridge converter. So again there. As I've already said, everything's been cleaned out. Now the barrel, made of aluminium. So I'm guessing it's not something that I would even think about eyedropping. I don't know how ink and aluminium get on. Oh, my poor tongue, all these long words today. Clips on and off. It's a steel nib. There we go. It was a broad nib. In there, I had Pilot Orpshizuku Momiji. This ink was actually one of the first that I bought when I got back into fountain pen collecting. Nice ink. I want to say it's red. It's not. It's more on the pinky side of red. When I bought this, seeing pictures on the internet, actually looked like a red ink, but it's not. It's got more of a pink tinge to it. Still very nice and comfortable. And that was another pen that I brought in. And as you can tell, wrote it out. The last additional pen I brought in is the TWSBI Diamond 580. This is just in that straight transparent colour. On here, I've got a broad nib. Really like this. I had Diamine Yule log in here. Now, one of the things I was finding, you can see a little bit on here. Hopefully I can get the light right. You can see some of that like coppery shimmer to it. Really nice. I love writing with this pen. It's so comfortable to use. It's a nice length. I mean, you could try posting it, but posts onto the end cap. I was worried about triggering the mechanism, although it's fairly stiff, but I wouldn't really recommend it. Section could do with being a little bit wider for my liking. I'm being very picky. I like the fact it's transparent. This is a piston filler, and when there's ink in here, especially when it's like a nice colourful ink, looks really nice. Very easy to clean. I'm not going to do it now, but all I did was unscrew the nib. That then comes off. All these bits here come off. Because I'd had that shimmering ink, I did put this through my ultrasonic cleaner because I wanted to make sure I gave the best chance of getting any shimmer particles out of it. Had a little bit of a panic when I came to put it back together. Down here, hope you can see it, there's a little tiny O-ring. When I came to put it together, couldn't find the O-ring. I frantically searched my cleaning area. Unfortunately, it was on the side of the ultrasonic cleaner. So, didn't lose that. I'm not certain, but I don't think it matters too much. But for me, this lack of O-ring, I would have worried about it. So this is the TWSBI Diamond 580. Let's quickly swap over and we'll take one final look at the pens. So here we have it. These are the pens that I was using during January of 2023. A Majohn A1, position number 6. Number 5, the HongDian 960. Number 4, the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande. Number 3, the Narwhal 365 in the Nautilus. Number 2, the Jinhao 100. The winning pen for the month, the Pilot Custom 823. Then my additional pens, Pilot Custom Heritage 92, Diplomat Aero, and the TWSBI Diamond 580. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts on the pens I've been using this month? Would you have ranked them any differently? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.